What's up, guys? This is Blank Boy, and today I want to talk about the differences between an ENFJ and an ENTJ. Both types are ENJs. I think they're among some of the stereotypically most successful by society standards. Both can be very work-oriented, very much go-getters, um, and good at keeping themselves busy with productive things. Um, and I stumbled across this mistype. Really, it seems more common of a mistype more recently, since there are some very strange ideas about extroverted feeling, about FE getting thrown out and about. So, right, the fundamental difference is that ENFJs lead with extroverted feeling and have their fourth function as introverted thinking. ENTJs lead with extroverted thinking and have their fourth function as introverted feeling. They both share NI and SE respectively. NI and SE collectively. It seems to be the case that a lot of people think that if you are FE dominant, or if you're an FJ at all, if FE is among your first two functions, they seem to think that these people are very agreeable for some reason, that they necessarily care about other people, that they necessarily value the emotions of other people. If you think that, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. There is no property of cognition, right? We're talking about a cognitive function that necessitates that you value other people. Like there could not possibly be a sociopath who leads with extroverted feeling. That is not the case. It seems that these people are just like tossing out or just totally forgetting about like classical archetypal ENFJs like Martin Luther King Jr., like Malcolm X, these people who really fought for rights, who were very disagreeable regarding the things going on while they were alive. So I just want to start by dismissing that myth entirely, that FE folks are agreeable. And I want to just get at the core difference between these two types. If you do come across an agreeable ENFJ, I think you're probably less likely to mistype them than if you do come across an agreeable one. It seems very strange to think that, like, oh, someone might mistype Malcolm X as an ENTJ because he's disagreeable. But I could actually imagine that happening. Anyway, what is the fundamental difference between extroverted feeling and extroverted thinking? The base difference is that these two functions are both causality oriented. They're both revolving around interactions between objects in the world. Extroverted thinking sort of operates under the implicit embodied assumption that objects are objects, they're just things, they're non-living, and they operate under the simple laws of cause and effect. I'm not trying to like downplay physics or anything by calling that simple, and you'll see in a sec why I said simple cause and effect. And then extroverted feeling, also dealing with the interactions between objects in the world, but this time there is an accounting for the spark of life, if you will. Again, not necessarily explicitly, not necessarily in their beliefs. I'm not saying there are no ENFJs who are physicists, that they all have to be biologists, but that ENFJs in their embodied belief about cause and effect are accounting for the self as it strives, as it tries to do things with effort, and as it needs to enforce self-discipline on itself and focus itself. What am I saying? This is all getting very abstract and heady, and what this really boils down to, what this manifests as, is ENFJs who, in their thinking about objects, thinking about causality, thinking about the world, they anthropomorphize things. They give them a soul. And when they're thinking about people, they're thinking about, there's a sort of implicit acceptance of the complexity of people, that people are not just objects that move around and sometimes move around kind of predictably, but that people have beliefs and dreams and desires and entire complex lives. Not to say that ENTJs couldn't be psychologists, but in their treatment of people as moving objects, there is a kind of implicit oversimplification, an implicit not accounting for all that stuff that I just said that ENFJs are accounting for. And this ends up having some really interesting emergent effects. One of the most obvious effects, one of the most apparent effects, is that ENFJs, these disagreeable ENFJs, that I'm assuming are being mistyped as ENTJs. A disagreeable ENFJ is totally perfectly willing to tell you how to act, to put you in your place. They want everyone to be in their place. There's a sense of bringing order to the social world. I guess going back to like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, this is very direct. It can be seen very directly at them. Wow, bringing order to the social world, huh? And right, like all parents are sort of doing that to their kids, more or less, right? Trying to teach them lessons. ENFJs, they don't care if they're your kid or not. They'll do it to you, to you, whoever they are. You don't have to be in their care. They'll do it. ENTJs, if you're just hanging out with an ENTJ, um, they could care less how you operate your life. There's also a sense of bringing order, and right. I think that's sort of an emergent property of thought revolving around causal relations, but their version of bringing order is kind of like it sometimes feels like people are outside of the realm of causality. People, you can't make a person do something. I know that there's a meme of like ENTJ, ESTJ bosses. And the stuff that I'm talking about is just when you're hanging out with your friends. I'm not talking about if you're their subordinate. Um, your ENTJ friend doesn't care how you live your life. Um, Whatever, you do you. You're outside of the realm of causality. You're you and I'm me, and hey, whatever, that's all good. You figure you out, I'll figure me out. Your ENFJ friend, it's more like I'm pretending I'm the ENFJ. My struggle is everyone's struggle. My human condition is everyone's human condition. Um, and there's this kind of like direct application of like their own shit, what they're going through to you. and they're like shepherd of the people. They're like trying to meddle in people's lives. um and like ENTJs, it's it's so much more divorced from the entire way you operate their life. And if an ENTJ is trying to tell you how to do something, it's because you're doing a particular thing wrong. Um, like, I don't know, let's say you're cooking with your ENTJ friend. You guys are making a dish together for whatever reason. Um, and if you're doing something wrong, um, yeah, your ENTJ friend is like, let me do that for you. You're fucking it up. Let me fix this. What are you doing? What mess have you gotten yourself into? That's the kind of thing that they like assert themselves or over. Um, Again, provided that your relationship is a communal relationship, that of friends, not that of dominance, right? As in like employer employee. Because for some reason people only think that extroverted thinking dominant people exist in employer employee relationships. No, kind of kidding. Um, anyway, as for just some other little things that you can look for, ENFJs have this it's kind of a beautiful, wonderful thing. They have this natural charisma to them. You could not see one for years, and then you run into them, and oh, they know your name, and they know what to ask about you, and you make me feel so good. Just like an ENTJ. Is there an ENTJ that I haven't seen in a few years and months off? Um, an ENTJ is just not, it's not like, there's not a natural charisma to them. Anyone can be charismatic, anyone can develop a sort of charisma, but I think if ENTJs have anything, I would call it an anti-charisma, in that they can, they're more likely to be charming because they seem like they don't care if they're charming. um, where it, right, just no effie, and they're just like, hey, here I am, um, this is me, this is so authentically me. um, I'm not putting on a face. They don't they don't put on a face. And in a sense, that's actually charming. I think that's charming. You don't necessarily have to think it's charming. All right, cool. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.